All right, folks, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And we're here to talk about Team 25, and I need to make sure my friends over on LinkedIn can get in. So give me just a minute while I make sure that is all set up. Looks like it. There we go. All right. So we're here to chat about Team 25. I'll give folks a couple of minutes. And thank you, LinkedIn, for sharing my audio automatically. Anyway, I'll give folks a couple minutes to drop on it and join us. But I want to thank you all for the time change. This originally was at 9. I had to shift it to 10 because life got in the way. So thank you for joining me a little bit later than originally planned. And we will be getting started in just a minute. Okay, and I think I'm mostly ready. Looks like it. All right, folks, we're going to talk about Team 25 Europe. First, a quick way of introduction. My name is Rob. I've been using Atlassian since about 2013. Haven't been to too many of their big events. I'll talk a little bit about my experience going to them, but most recently I was able to go to the one in Europe and just wanted to share some of what I learned and saw and experienced. Welcome Improve IT to the YouTube chat. So that's just who I am. I spend a lot of my time in the Atlassian ecosystem, and I do a lot of training. My goal is to make sure when folks use Atlassian products, or really any system, it doesn't get in the way. These things are intended to help support us. So I'll talk more about what I do as I go. But for interaction, if you're with me on YouTube, please use the YouTube chat. If you're with me on LinkedIn, please use the comments. I'll be keeping an eye on both to responding to folks, and I'll do my best to read out answers to questions and things. Rohit, welcome, one of my channel members. Now, easiest way to support me, I do this full time. This is my job, is to help train on Atlassian stuff and to do sessions like this. So please, if you could, subscribe to the YouTube link if you're on YouTube, or follow me on LinkedIn, and like the stream if you're watching. So just hit the little thumbs up button. That's the easiest way to support me and help other people find this content, and let me know what you find interesting and what you want to get out of this. Also, you can save and share this. So if you have someone else who missed it, and this recording will be available on, I think, both LinkedIn and YouTube if you miss it there. There's also a QR code under me. That's another way to support me. Take a look at my live learning courses. I'll talk more about that Rovo course at the end of this, or consider becoming a channel member on YouTube. My email is also available at the bottom here. Please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, on email, or comment, and I'll be happy to help you out. So we're going to cover my experience at Team 25 Europe. And I say it's my experience because there were thousands of people there, and there's going to be other folks sharing what they learned. I'll encourage you to go learn from them as well. Don't take me as the only source of information. A lot of great folks, were there and learned and did different things. So definitely go to other talks, read other information, check out the official Atlassian pages for this, because there's a lot there. But I'm going to share my experience at these events and why I think they're valuable. So just a question for everyone. Did you get to go to Team? And what was it like? And this could be any team. And just curious how the experience went. Rodney, what are you doing here? Don't you have a conference to be at? There's a friend in the YouTube chat who I saw yesterday down in Long Beach, where they're at the Atlassian Builders Summit. So there are other events beyond Team that are in the ecosystem, which is great. There are live virtual events like this one. There are the big Atlassian-sponsored events like Team. But then there's also smaller community events. So if you can't make one of these gigantic conferences, that's completely okay. There are other options and other ways for you to experience the community. So Team is Atlassian's twice yearly conference. They do these big events to bring the community together, to show off new updates. But mainly what I get out of it, and I'll say this a lot, are the people. I'll come back to that in a minute. Typically, one's in North America in April or May. There's one coming up next May down in Anaheim, California. And then there's one in Europe, typically in Barcelona. And this was 2 or 3 weeks ago now, which seems like it was yesterday, but it was actually a couple weeks back. So Atlassian puts these on, and it's Atlassian's opportunity to showcase and do everything. And I've got someone in the YouTube chat saying they took a selfie with me at Team 25, which is awesome. I don't know who you are from the username, but it was great meeting people. Again, I'll share some more thoughts on that. So again, Team is kind of the flagship event. And here's a picture of me looking pretty tired late at night. Now, the types of people who attend, there's 4 major groups. We've got customers. So these are people who use Atlassian products. And this is actually not even how I started going. I'm a community member at that point. I've never gone as a customer. My company has never been able to send me, which is okay. But a lot of customers go. So people who use Atlassian products or people who want to use Atlassian products. So if you're a prospective customer, you might also go to Team just to learn about what they do. But there's also partners. So these are groups that work with Atlassian. There's Aura Apps. There's, what are some of the bigger names? AppFire, AppFox, Catworks, all kinds of different groups that help either build things in Atlassian or advise you on how it can work and help you build it out. So it's a great time to meet them. Sean Doyle, is it a team-ish event? Sean, I think you're also down there at the Atlassian Builders Conference. But just a shout out to the folks who are there. I don't know why you're listening to me when you could be in person with folks. We also have developers. So these are people who build or create add-ons and things in the Atlassian ecosystem. And then just general community members, folks like myself who are, use these products and talk about them. But really, it's a lot about just people who enjoy or believe in these products and this group, a time for them to get together and share knowledge, to meet each other, and to rekindle relationships. And yes, Sean, I was down there. So this is in Barcelona. I am terrible at geography. I didn't realize Barcelona was so far east in Spain, but this is where it's held in Europe. More specifically, this is a picture out of my hotel room window, and the building across the street is the conference hall. So these events are just held wherever there's a big conference center. When I go to these, I try to make sure I have extra time to explore the area. This particular time, I got stuck with only 3 days in Barcelona, so I couldn't go explore the city, which made me kind of sad. I got this wonderful view of a BP gas station, which had really good empanadas, by the way. But I missed out on everything else about the location. So if you're trying to go to an event like this, even if it's a local one, I'll highly recommend you take time on either end of it. Add a couple days if you are able to explore the location. For me, getting to go to Barcelona was the first time I've ever been there, and I know there's all these amazing things that I didn't get to see, so I've got a list I want to go look at next time. But making time to see the area and not just exist within a hotel and within the giant cavernous expo hall is really important. You can't see from this picture, I've got some from inside, but the expo halls are just gigantic rooms where you can't tell what time of day it is. It's just a massive open space. Oh, let me come back. Stop. So the general feeling of it is kind of crowded. I'm going to play this video, and apologies if the sound is kind of loud. I'll try and turn it down so it doesn't break any hearing. But this is just wandering around on the way to a keynote. Oops. Now, they don't always have music blasting everywhere. This was on the way to a major talk, one of the keynote events, but you get this feeling of just people everywhere. And this, for me, is good. It's crowded, and that can be overwhelming. It can be loud and big. And so I make sure when I go to these events to take time to step away or get my own space or make time for me, just so I don't feel like the walls are closing in. It can be very easy to get overwhelmed that way. Now, those are I can't call them negatives, but that's just the general feeling. When I'm there, though, it's also really friendly. And I saw many, many interactions like this where people are meeting for the first time, or maybe they've never met each other, or maybe they've only known each other online. There's folks in the YouTube chat who I pretty much only know from these live streams. And when I get to go to Team, I get to meet them. I met a good friend, Kaithra, who's usually on this channel but is down in Long Beach at the conference. I got to meet her yesterday. And that is incredible. And this ability to interact is amazing. And it doesn't just extend to people that I know online. I can strike up a conversation with almost anyone at these events and learn something new, make a new friend, and get good interactions. So while it is big and crowded and loud, it's also really friendly and it's a very open space. I just personally have to make sure I make time to step aside and, get some breath of fresh air or sit down for a minute just so my system can relax and it doesn't feel like I'm getting overcrowded, so to speak. And it looks like 40% of us so far have been to a team event before. For those of you who haven't, I'd be curious to know, would you like to go or is there anything stopping you? For me, the biggest challenge is just physically getting there, making sure I have time to travel and making sure I can take time away from work. I don't have a specific slide on it, but Atlassian does provide resources to give to your manager or send to your HR team on why you should go to team. So you can make a business case for attending these events, which I'll talk more about as we go. So this is kind of an open-ended question. I'm going to end the poll, but I'm curious what announcements people heard about team. So just drop in the chat real quick. I'm going to drink some water, but drop in the chat or in the comments what announcements you heard about while you were there. And while you're thinking about that, there's a tip here from Improve IT. Atlassian does provide a mobile app for their team event, the big ones, and that includes, a map that will show you how to get places. The team event in Barcelona was spread across 2 levels and 2 buildings, so depending on where you were, it could be frustrating. I'll talk about certifications towards the end, but I couldn't go find where to go for the certification. I had to ask around. So it can be hard to navigate, and Improve IT's got a great point here. There's an app, it will keep your schedule, but also show you physically where to go for things, and that's a great call out. Thank you. Rodney heard about all of them. For the folks who haven't heard of Rodney, he is also called the Jira guy. I'm sure he heard about the events before anyone else did because he's very dialed in and an amazing resource. A quick shout out, I do have a Discord community. I'll put this in the chats, but this is a place to go to keep getting knowledge and information. And also put it in the LinkedIn comments. Folks have heard about assets for everyone, yes, groups of services, and Rovo. I'll talk a lot about Rovo because that was a big one. And a comment from Barb, I'd like to go, but my company won't pay for it or let me take the time. I'm sorry to hear about that. That for me has been the biggest challenge. Less so the taking time off to go do it. I would typically take vacation, and I chose to do that. That was my own choice, but getting the funding. So the biggest grouping of updates we heard about was Rovo. And I think I used this exact meme last time because Rovo has now been expanded into other areas, and they're expanding it more. I'm going to put a quick question in the YouTube poll, and I'll drop it as a comment. Have you used Rovo? Just a yes or a no. And if you have thoughts or ideas about Rovo, how have you used it or what do you think about it? And I'll put that in the LinkedIn chat as well, just so folks can see it. So Rovo had a lot of talk. Now, in the last team event back in May in Anaheim, they announced that it was going to be included in Premium and Enterprise. Now it's being included in Standard. Prior to this, it was a standalone purchase, so you had to pay, it was like $20 per person or something. But now it's just included in these subscriptions. So that was one bit of news. It's now in Standard. So basically everyone gets it unless you're using a free version. Ghost, welcome back, my friend. It's good to see you. Now, other major improvements, there's a Rovo developer, and this took up some of the main keynote. I'll dig more into each of these, but this one for me was one of the more interesting ones. I don't personally develop software. I know how to script and I can interpret them, but they gave the example of building Confluence Live docs using Rovo developer, and I found that it was good to hear that they used their own product and got that experience, but also interesting to hear how they leveraged AI to help them code. So Rovo is just a generative AI tool. Think something like ChatGPT, but they've applied it to software development, doing things like code reviews, helping examine code. In my mind, this makes a lot of sense because there are some things that computers are good at, finding potential flaws. That said, there's a massive asterisk around all of this. As we know, AI tools need to be monitored, and we shouldn't just expect what it is. Frank has a comment about a new certification for Rovo. You're stealing my thunder and reading my mind, my friend. I will talk more about Rovo's new certificate later. So I have a specific set of slides around Rovo training. Oops, I got to back up. I'm sorry. Now, we've got Rovo Skills was another one. This is more a rebranding or renaming of actions Rovo can take. Up until now, Rovo had been able to do things within Atlassian, make a confluence page, link a work item, those kind of things. They're expanding this, though, to allow Rovo to take action in other systems. And this is how I'm interpreting it. But imagine if you have a Rovo agent that analyzes Jira work items and then makes a Google Sheet and populates that with some information. So Rovo can now reach into other systems and do things. This, to me, is where it's going to get more useful and more interesting. It's okay and good that it can work within Atlassian, but if it can work within a constellation of my software environment, that makes it much more useful to me. Not only can it reach in and read information, but it can also write. And I have some old slides in here. I apologize. In my quick poll, it looks like most of us have used Rovo. If you haven't and you have access to it, I'll encourage you to give it a shot. Again, it's a brand new technology. It is not necessarily the best possible thing, and you may not find as much use for it. However, I don't see Rovo or technology like it going away anytime soon. I only see more technology like it being developed and more ways of it being used. So in my mind, I should start getting used to it because it's not going to go away. It's not going to disappear. So a big part of team are these keynotes, and this is where we hear a lot of the major announcements. The first day, there's a keynote usually around Atlassian or some idea around it, teamwork, for example. There was one, excuse me, got a cough. There was one around how someone uses agents as a teammate to help them figure things out. I'll be honest, I didn't attend that one. Ooh, something in the air. The second keynote, though, on the second day is usually the one reserved for all the big product updates. This is where we heard in Anaheim that Rovo would be included. Excuse me, in Premium and Enterprise. Thank you, Ghost. Frank is saying John Connor said to give AI a shot. That is a Terminator reference, a movie, for those of you in there. Now, the second keynote is the important one, at least from my perspective as someone learning to understand what's going to change. This is typically where, the CEO and the head of tech and all these, C-suite people come up and talk about Rovo changing and all these other things happening. So that's the one I tend to pay the most attention to. The third keynote on the last day is, again, something related to it. I really enjoyed the one in Anaheim because it spoke about how do we use AI in education. I missed the one this time because I was on a plane home, unfortunately. So I'm going to drop another quick poll over on YouTube, but did you listen to or attend any of the keynotes? And I say listen to because we can actually access these online. We can get to them, for free on Atlassian's site, and I'll share those links in a little bit. Of the keynotes. I'll drop that in LinkedIn as well. But, whoa, that was on autoplay. There we go. I'm going to turn the volume down again, but this is what it looks like to sit in the keynote. Might be a bit loud. So for me, that is a very big room with many, many people. Keynotes are great. I'll get away from that slide so we don't hear that blasting music. But when the keynote's announced, you'll have hordes of people go into that room. And you have people doing traffic control, showing you where to sit. And it just fills up. And for me, it's too much sometimes. So I tend to sit in the back where I can easily get out. Because at the end, everyone stands up and everyone leaves all at once. But it is exciting. There's energy. There's a lot of good stuff. So I do my best to attend, again, the second one to learn things. Now, I tend to This is a team I'll talk about later, but I tend to find a nice quiet space and listen to them. In Anaheim, they had satellite stations where you could sit with headphones and listen to the keynotes. And that for me personally made more sense. I could sit there and relax and think about things, and I wasn't sitting with 4,000 of my closest friends in a gigantic room big enough to swallow my house multiple times. So for me, the keynotes themselves are too noisy and too big, but some people love that energy. They're also hard to get out of, so I tend to join groups like this one. Now, someone's already mentioned Rovo getting its own credential, and I think they're calling it a credential. Let me go just double check what they're calling it. But this group of people is Atlassian certification team. They don't get nearly enough credit for all the work they do, but folks like this help design the credentials and certifications that we can earn around Atlassian products. You can actually take certification exams at Team, and this is something I did. One, it's cheaper. It was only 70 euros or 80 US dollars, I think, to sit these exams that can cost between $100 and $250. But you also get to do it in a proctored environment. So you just bring your laptop, sit down, and do your exam. So if you're considering going to Team, when you sign up, you'll be able to sign up for certifications. I highly recommend this if it's something you're looking at doing. And you might get to, interact and meet these folks. They're brilliant at what they do. It's some kind of dark magic to build these exams and make sure they're fair and everything. So just a shout out to this entire group. If any of you are listening, thank you. So back to our keynote. The product keynote is that second day, and this is what most people, or at least what I'm most interested in from a what's Atlassian up to standpoint. Frank, I'll get to your question about acquisitions and all that right now. And Frank's got a question. Spots at Team can sell out for the certifications. I'll have to double check this. I was able to go in and tweak one. Not many people seem to know about them though. So I'll be honest, you probably want to sign up as soon as you sign up for Team just to make sure you get a spot. But if you're looking into certifications, it's definitely worthwhile to look at. It's cheaper, it's quicker, it's a better experience. And if you're looking for help with your certification journey, check out the link below. That'll take you to my learning site. I'll put a link in the chat too. I'm building out learning courses for all the Atlassian certifications. So to help you learn, some of them also can optionally include an exam voucher if you want to take the exam not at Team. So there's two options. One's cheaper, no voucher. One includes the voucher to sit the exam. We heard a ton about Rovo. I'll dig more into Rovo. There is one piece of technology that they spoke about that confused the heck out of me for a while, and that's called the Teamwork Graph. Now, I know about this through my experience in tech. I've worked with folks who know what this is, so I had some vague idea. But I'll talk more about what the Teamwork Graph is and why we should care about it. Generally, we just need to know it exists. Another big announcement was the Assets app is now going to be standalone. So you don't have to get Jira Service Management to use Assets. And they also announced an entire new app around customer support. I'll dig into each of these. For me, the most interesting one on a technical level was the Teamwork Graph. The one that I think will impact most people are the Rovo updates. And that's because Rovo is starting to get woven into everything. I'll start with this Teamwork Graph, though, and this is an image from Atlassian's site. The Teamwork Graph is something that's going to impact everyone, but most of us won't directly interact with it. It's a data layer that sits underneath Atlassian products. So think of this like a reference book for apps. And this graph, this layer, knows almost everything about how we use the products. It knows who I am, who my manager is. Yes, Ghost, my chat is a little bit delayed. So I got this question after I started. And what it allows the system to do is it gives it one source of truth for what it knows. This means that when Rovo needs to figure out a relationship between me and my manager, it can just go here and look at it. It means that it knows what kinds of work items I create or what kinds of systems I access. I don't know exactly what's in the Teamwork Graph, but it allows developers to then connect data to it and extend and expand our ability to leverage the system. Other groups and other technologies are using graphs like this, but Atlassian is now weaving it into everything. So we're going to start to see more interconnectivity for things. And again, it's not something a human would look at. It's something that my system knows about, or if I'm coding an app, it would use that to get information about someone and make everything run more seamlessly. So this is mostly for developers to use and leverage, but for me as an end user, I'm going to see this make it easier for me to interact with the system. It's going to make Rovo feel more intelligent and give it better information and connect all of these different things together. So that's the teamwork graph. I guarantee you someone who can explain this better because they know more about it. But this is my understanding of it and why I think it's important. It's going to make everything just run more smoothly and seem more intelligent. Okay, so Rovo. Again, this is the big one. This is the one that most people are going to interact with because it's showing up everywhere. Up until now, Rovo only really showed up in Jira, Confluence, and Jira Service Management. And someone had a comment about Rovo. Yeah, it's able to do things like analyzing whiteboards and look at images and things. So in addition to existing in more apps, it is getting other upgrades. And this is where I wrote a Rovo course. It's the QR code down below. And almost as soon as I published the course, there were updates to Rovo that I have to go reshoot. So we're seeing a very quick pace of development with Rovo, which makes a lot of sense. Generative AI is something that is here, and everyone's trying to figure out how to use it, and Atlassian is no exception. So my approach to it is just to start using it more. Now, they've also announced a mobile and a desktop Rovo app. I personally don't know how much I would use a standalone app for Rovo. And this kind of ties into Frank's question around, I'll see if I can get it on screen. It's somewhere up here. Frank's question around the browser acquisition, the browser company of New York, and then I think it's DX, a software development tool. I forget the exact name. But we're starting to see Atlassian consider expanding out from beyond just its web app into things like this desktop app for Rovo, into things like a browser. And I'm just trying to think forward, like, why would Atlassian want a browser? Well, we do a lot of work in Atlassian, and if their goal is, when I go to work, I use Atlassian products, it makes sense for them to have a browser. That lets them, contain everything in one spot. They didn't talk too much about what they'll do with the browser, so there's no official news on, when the Atlassian browser, I am making up names, this is all wild speculation, when the Atlassian browser will be live. But I would expect we'll see more extensions like this. We'll see Rovo in more places. We'll see more ways to interact with the tools that they have beyond just going into Jira. And it looks like about half of us went to the keynotes and about half of us haven't yet. And Noreen's also pointing out there's an existing Chrome and Microsoft Edge extension. I forget Microsoft Edge exists. That is Microsoft's new version of Explorer. So there are browser extensions for Rovo already. I've mentioned Rovo Developer, again, another screenshot from Atlassian, but this is Rovo, helping code. We can think of this like Copilot or any of the other tools. I am not personally a developer, so I personally don't know how useful this is or exactly how it works. However, like I mentioned earlier, for me, this is a natural extension and use case of generative AI. Over time, it's going to learn how we code, and it'll help us identify and figure out where challenges are. Sorry, Robert, I just saw your name pop up, and I misread your last name as mine, and I was very confused. What Robert's mentioning here in the comments, the New York City ACE, Atlassian Community Event, these are the other events I was talking about. And so you might have local events that they call it like team in a box. Your local community leader might have a presentation or an event you can go to and hear about Rovo Developer, from the same content we got at Team. So just a reminder that even if you couldn't make Team or see the recordings, there might be a local event you can go to talk about. And Robert, I'm not sure. It would be great to meet that group in person. I'm not sure if there's any plans for us to meet the people behind, say, Rovo Dev or behind the Browser Company of New York. I'm actually not personally sure if the Browser Company of New York is in New York. I assume it is, given the name. Anyway, I'm on a bit of a side rail. So the Rovo for Developers was used to make Confluence Live docs. So that means Atlassian has tested it out with something they actually deployed. How much they actually used it, I'm not sure. However, they had some claims that it speeds up some processes by like 40%. And so I would be very curious as groups use this, how it actually impacts work. Justin, good to see you, my friend. So that's the developer. This was something they're also very excited about and shows up in a lot of different places. So if you're a developer and you have access to it, I'd love to hear from you just to see what it's like. And is it actually useful? Again, I have used like ChatGPT or Gemini to write Google scripts, and it's not good. It gives me enough wild errors that I kind of stop for a while. Moving away from Rovo, Assets was part of Jira Service Management, and Assets allows a group to track assets, shockingly enough. Stereotypically, this would be your IT assets, computers and laptops and things. But it can really be anything an organization wants to track. It could be people, it could be office spaces, it could be services, it could be servers, anything you want to keep track of. And it was part of Jira Service Management because, again, it started from the IT slant. This is now going to be a standalone app. I know some groups get Jira Service Management just to get access to assets. So you can now get assets separately. For me, this is a good thing, and it's a signal that Atlassian realizes that the ability to track things that we're interested in is not unique to service management. It could be anything. My software development team might need to track something. My human resources team might want to track workers, and that's not really a service management thing. So this is going to mean there might be more use cases for assets. Frank in chat is suggesting it might be a new field source or select field source. So we might start to see more integrations between assets and other parts of Atlassian or other systems. I am personally curious how groups will use this. I am not smart enough to really think through all the use cases, but I imagine there are some people listening or some people who heard about this who go, oh, I've got a great way I can use this to do blank. So I'm curious if folks use assets and if you have a use case for it, if you could share. Just a quick yes, no. And then just an open question. Do you use the assets module, or can you think of a way your organization could benefit? And also another shout out to my Discord community. Feel free to pop in there. And that's just continual chat and support about this. Improve IT. I'm not sure about caps. Let me quickly see if I can find any limits. Under pricing, I will share, oh, here we go. Up to 50,000 assets at the premium level. So I'll share a link in the chat. The limit for assets on this page says 50,000 individual assets, and then you can buy more. So if you have an exceedingly large number, you can purchase more up from there. But once you get the base level of the service collection, and that includes Jira Service Management, Assets, Rovo, and something I'll talk about in a moment, Customer Service Management, you'll get 50,000 included. And this brings us, perfect timing, read my mind, to the Customer Service Management app. Now, this is a new app. And this is, the example they gave was, let's say you're on an you have a flight and the flight's canceled. You have to get around that. This was presented as a way to support customers at scale using a lot of AI. And so what they showed us, and we kind of see this on the left, is the AI agent prompting someone, hey, how can I help you? I struggled with this because it seems like it's Jira Service Management, just bigger, or with a slightly different front end. For example, many groups might use JSM to support customers right now. And I'm not sure how different this is and how, why it's a different thing. I'm sure as I learn more about it, I'll figure that out. But it was presented as a way to, support large numbers of customers using AI. And they dug in quite a bit to, it's not just an AI agent that floats around. You have extensive control over reviewing what it's doing, over training it, over improving it. So you create these agents and then you can train them against, they called it a golden data set, a perfect set of data, and you can have it simulate conversations to learn and adjust and adapt to how your organization works. And then in real time, a human can go in and monitor how the agents work and tweak it. So this is another step of AI in my mind. Again, this is not going to go away. This is a good use case in my mind for AI because it's something at scale. It's a repeatable thing, and it can pull in a human if it needs to. I'm very curious, though, how this will be used by customers. And they've clearly tested it, and they're comfortable selling it. I'm just curious how AI is going to start augmenting human support agents, especially for large groups. And it's just something I haven't experienced. So another open question is, like, if you're in this type of environment, how do you handle support at scale? I'm just going to drop a quick message over for my friends on LinkedIn to help mitigate volume. It is good to see, but again, this feels a bit like a targeted use case of JSM or an extension of JSM, Jira Service Management. Really, for me, though, the most important part, I didn't realize this would, okay, it stopped, was all the people that I met. I am constantly shocked and amazed when I go to big events that seemingly random people come out of the crowd and just come and say hi. I did not know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these people, 7 of these people before I showed up at team. All of them came up to me and just said, Rob, I've seen you online. Rob, I've heard about you. Rob, I took one of your courses. Rob, I've got a question. Oh, I just want to say hi. It was amazing. This to me is why it's worth it. Some of these people I've seen on multiple teams. Some of these people I know from online. But really it's about the interactions we have with all these other folks. And Rodney is in here. He's in the bottom right. He's given the peace sign. But team is a time to come together. These events are intended to be, community building. So it is partially about all of these updates. Hey, go check out Rovo. Hey, go do this thing. But it's really about we get to see and interact and learn and share. And that for me is the value. This is one reason why I don't necessarily go to every event there. This is improve. That's the selfie. Oh, amazing. Even right there, like recognizing that someone in this live stream, I got to meet them. That to me is the value. Everything else is extra, and I certainly learn a lot, but typically I'm not going to all of the individual talks. And even in this, I didn't talk about it too much, about all the other things that happen there. And because my focus is meeting people and chatting with them and just seeing the human behind everything. And this is where I am, I'm constantly trying to find other events as well where I can do this, because the value for me is this. I am not, please don't take this as a discount of the sessions. Those are all important and useful, but I'll encourage you when you go to these, see how many people you can meet, or try and find one person you want to talk to, or try to make a new friend. Reach out if you're comfortable. Okay, I didn't realize that would happen. I'm going to quickly pop over to the team website now. I've got a few more slides, but I want to just show some resources that we have around team. I asked it earlier if folks had seen any of the keynotes, and I asked seen and not attended, just because they are recorded and they were put on live. So this website I'll put in the chat. And it includes a lot of recordings that you might find interesting. Helps if I spell Europe properly. Europe. And they update this with each one. You can get just the highlights, and this will be a 2 or 3 minute, here's what's going on, or you can get the whole keynote. So the bigger events are both recorded and broadcast live. So if you can't physically go to, say, Barcelona or Anaheim, you can watch it here either live. You do have to register, I think, in advance, but you can also catch the highlights. They also have recordings from other sessions. So this one here about Rovo, I think that one was a keynote. Are these all from the keynote? Some of the recordings they share are not just from keynotes, they're from other talks that were given. And this is important too, because if you're just one person going, you can only be in one spot at a time, right? Even if you have a team of a few folks who go, and some companies will send 3, 4, 5, 6 people, you can't get to everything, so you need to split up. But you can catch some of these recordings. So if you want to learn just about the strategy collection, you can get into that. The keynotes, and then at the bottom we've got the super sessions, they call them. Um, all of this on-demand stuff. And so this is where you can dig around and just see what did you miss. There's highlights that they cut out, which are great, but then specific deep dives into things. And then at the bottom, like full-length sessions. So these can be inspiring. They can give you ideas. Definitely worth looking at these to see what you've missed. And they're all kind of filtered or tagged by product or what they'll help you learn about. I highly recommend taking a look at these. Again, I typically don't go to these live. If there's someone I know doing the talk, I go to support them. But I usually wait for the recordings because I'm focused more on the people there with me. But this is where you can go to see all this great on-demand stuff. You do have to register, I think, with sign up for free. So that's the only cost, so to speak. I'm going to back up a little. So that was Team 25 Europe. I do want to talk about the next team, and I'll see if I can... I'm chuckling up in the top right here. It's telling me that team is in April of 2025. That's kind of funny. That's not a link. Well, that's the wrong date. Let's see if Atlassian Team 26. Aha! So this is the next team, the one coming up in... Anaheim. Perfect. And we've got dates. I'm going to drop this link in there just in case folks are interested. Now, there are discounts, as Improve is calling out here. Now, the discounts are both for individuals. So if I go to register, it should give me an early bird sign up for a certain period of time. Ooh, a super fan for $700 US, early bird in Feb, standard, and last chance. So this is clearly where if you know you can go, you definitely want to sign up early. And if you have a team or a group of people, in February, you can still get the cheaper rate. So they're encouraging groups to come, 3 or more folks. But you can also sign up for those live sessions. So for the folks like Barb, I think you mentioned you might not be able to go in person. You can still register for the live things. I'll also share that I'm intending on going, and I'm happy to attend specific sessions to help get information, to meet people, that kind of thing. Just reach out and let me know. And you can let me know either with my email at the bottom or jump into that Discord link I've got right down here. But this is where we can sign up for the new one. And this is the convincing your manager. I always chuckle when this is here, but it is a good use case. You can download a template that you can use to sell the business case, so to speak, to help convince your company. Please just remember to replace things like Hi Boss Manager with their actual name. This is just helping explain what it is and why you might want to go. Ghost, if you're there, I'll be happy to get a coffee or something with you. And shout out to my coffee sponsors. I think Rohit is in here. If you're looking for ways to support my channel, you can become a member. If you're a member, I'll buy you a coffee when I meet you, whether you're in Anaheim or anywhere else. Of course, if you go, you have to pay for the ticket, and you also have to do things like find accommodations. Atlassian does have hotels near the Expo Center they get blocks of rooms with. These are all very close. The hotel, the Hilton, I think is a 2-minute walk, just to give you an idea of distance. There are other hotels in the area that can be cheaper. There's one right about here that I got for $80 a night. So feel free to book through this, but also I'll encourage you, if you're going, to look into other options. It might be cheaper and just as close. I personally try and stay as close to the convention center as I can. If you remember back to my picture of the gas station in Barcelona, that was a 5-minute walk, and that was as close as I could get, just so I don't have to travel too much. But of course, make the decision that is best for you when you travel. And there's a whole bunch of information at the bottom here. All right, I've got a few more slides. Someone mentioned earlier a new certificate for Rovo, and they stole my thunder. You are absolutely correct. Atlassian now has a new level of certification, and they're calling it ACH, and I'll quickly go dig that up. But the first one is around Rovo. It is a free certification. And so this wasn't announced at Team. It came out right after Team this past Tuesday, I think. I'm bringing it up mostly to pat myself on the back. I helped create it. I'm a certification subject matter expert. They tapped me to help them build this Rovo certificate. Now, everything under this ACH header is intended to be a free certificate you can earn. The training in Atlassian is also free. So you can come in here, and this is a new designation, ACH. We can think of it as the entry level. I'll challenge folks, go earn this. Like, get the numbers up. It's a 45-minute, 20-question exam. It is open book. So it's going to quiz you on Rovo, essentially, but you can have another browser tab open looking up answers. So it's not proctored. That's great. You need 70%. Please go check it out. I'll drop a link right to this page. It's the certificate. Completely free. Again, I helped make it, so I feel good about that. Now, to help folks learn it, there is all the great free Atlassian stuff. I've also got a Atlassian Rovo Everything You Need to Know course. So please go check that out. That's another way you can help support me. That is the QR code you see at the bottom of the screen right here. And if you use the code BEGINNER, just the word BEGINNER when you purchase, you'll get, I think it's 10% off. Frank, I did not explicitly say that, no. It just says it's open book and non-proctored. I'll leave it at that. So that's a great resource and another way to support what I'm doing, because this is my job. Frank is referring to the shirt I'm wearing in this picture. When you pass your first certification, I don't know if they do this for Rovo, probably not, but when you pass an ACA or ACP, at least about 2 years ago, you would get this shirt saying Atlassian certified. So you do get some nice swag when you pass the higher level exams. And again, I do have a lot of learning around the ACA and ACPs, so the associate and the professional, if you're curious about those. That was all I have around Team 25 Europe. Again, I really enjoy these. My goal is to go to them and learn from people, but meet people, because I stare at a camera most of the time. So it was great to meet everyone I saw there, Improve IT. Yeah, it is open book. Good to see you, my friend. And if you can go, let me know. I would love to meet up, grab dinner. One of the best experiences I had last May was the last night. They have a big party called Bash. I'm not going to go to those anymore, I think, because they're so loud. It's a giant party in a huge room. If that's your thing, go do it. But before Bash, I had a dinner with a guy who lives in Nairobi, Kenya, and we spent 2 hours just chatting and getting to know each other. And that was incredible. I'm still friends with this person. You know, we're supporting each other. I'm helping him out with what he does. He sends me information. And that for me was worth the whole trip. Everything else was a bonus and extra. But building those relationships is the key. So what's next? Check out Team 26. Drop the links in there. I'll put them in the description and comments. Bash was incredible, Ghost. That's awesome. Frank's question around partner parties. There are other events that go on. Sometimes Atlassian partners, people who sell services, will rent out a space. So you might be able to get an invite to those. When I'm invited, I go. You know, I know some of the partners. I do work with some of the partners with sponsored content or with training. And if you happen to be a partner, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. But there are other events going on outside of just what Atlassian does. So you can keep your eyes and ears open. As you're talking to vendors in the giant expo hall, that's this huge room, you might ask, hey, do you have any events going on I could attend? Now, of course, they're partially a sales pitch, but in Barcelona, I got to play, I forget the name of it. It's a combination of pickleball and squash. So kind of like tennis. I got to play that at a partner event, and get some snacks and a beer or two and meet people. So there are a lot of other things around Team happening. They tend to happen the week of Team. So the Monday through Friday. If you're curious about Team 25, check out the recordings. There's a lot of great stuff there. But also check out other people. There are a lot of other groups doing recorded events, doing live things. Not just me, but the more we learn, better. Robert's calling out pop-up ads in YouTube. I do my best to suppress those, and YouTube likes to automatically turn them back on. So we can thank the YouTube overlords. I will say I am able to provide all these for free on YouTube. So I do my best to keep it as ad-free as possible. But I also need to keep the lights on, unfortunately. So I'll do my best to pause and kill all of them. The ads. Justin was hoping to go in May. Let me know how I can help you out, Justin. If I can help make a case, something like that, let me know. I would love to meet you and see you there. Frank has a question. Did they announce another Team Europe? They have not yet. They typically announce the next team after the one is done. So we just learned the dates for Anaheim after Team 25 Europe. I would expect, Frank, we learn about Team 26 Europe after Team 26 Anaheim. I would assume and guess it will be in Barcelona around the first week of October. And I'm saying that because every year it tends to be around that time, and it tends to be 6 months after the prior team. Tends to be. Please don't quote me on that, but I would assume those time periods. Personally, I just block my calendar around when I think it is, and then as soon as I hear the dates, I figure out with my family and my work if I can go. Also, check out Atlassian community. One of the things I will be doing is being more active posting in there and being around. But the community itself is a great resource, both about team stuff, but also just general questions. So there's a lot of great support for folks. Of course, feel free to reach out to me, though. You've got my email at the bottom, robert@heen.tech. Jump into Discord with me. Go check out my learning site, learn.heen.tech, and there's a community there. But please engage and reach out. Again, for me, the important part with team is the connection. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Justin needs everyone in the world to buy a new, whatever an ICE car is. Oh, Barb. You're the Barb. Sorry. Barb, I'm going to pull up our chat real quick. So Barb is someone in the community who I've been interacting with. I put a post around it, Confluence automations, and I guess Barb was the poster. Thank you for raising your hand and saying that was me. Improve IT. What about creating all you need to know to attend a team event? That is a great idea. I will schedule one probably closer to the team event itself, just to keep it present. But if folks would like a team event sooner, I'll be happy to set one up sooner. I'll drop a quick poll in YouTube while I'm babbling about the community. So you want to go to team, be useful. I'll just put some options in here. Just an idea of when folks would like it. I can schedule it now as well. Justin, my friend, you have a funny way of spelling engine. I know what you mean. All right, where was I? Right, so Barb was in community, asked a question in this new to Confluence group. And she did a great job of asking a question, and I was able to respond. Dropped in a loom, everything. So please come in here and ask your questions. I don't know if there is a specific team group, but you'll have folks like myself putting in more information around Rovo, and I'll do better about Rovo, about things like automations in this case. And Barb had this great question that I was able to respond point by point to make sure she got help. So one thing that's really important is we're not alone. Like, it can feel very easy when we're at our job. Oh, I'm managing Confluence and I've got to work on this and it's just me. It's not just you. There's thousands of people in your exact position. The trick is just remembering that they're out there and then connecting with them. And remembering there's different ways to do that. Come to team. Go to a local ACE event. And I'll see if I can find those very quickly. Join the Discord community I've got. Talk to coworkers. Here's the events. And these events include local ones, the big ones, online ones. But I'll just encourage you to keep engaging because there is a lot of good stuff. And the more we give, the more we get back. So that is my spiel about this. All you need to know about surviving a team. So would this be a separate one, Barb, or the same one? Maybe I'll make it a two-parter. I want to thank you all for listening to me talk about team. I felt very privileged to be able to go, to make time and fly across the world to go to Barcelona, this amazing place. And I'm glad I can share some of it. But please let me know what questions you have. What else do you want to learn about my experience or about team or about Atlassian? My goal is to make sure folks have that knowledge. So let me know how I can help you do that. Also, this is YouTube. Please hit the like button, little thumbs up down at the bottom. That'll help me out. We've got about, it doesn't tell me my number of likes anymore. I don't know how many likes we have, but more are always better. So hit the like button if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel. I'm back from holiday, so I'll be better about posting videos more regularly. And you'll see me put a lot more live sessions. There's one next Thursday on JQL, finding things in Jira. But I'm thinking through some other ones. For example, surviving team. How do you train someone in Confluence? All of those topics. So let me know your suggestions on how I can best support you with training. And also check out my learning site, learn.heen.tech. That'll get you all of my videos. Use the code BEGINNER to get a discount. And with that, I'll leave the chat open for a bit, but that is everything I had. So far, it looks like most people want, so you want to go to team 3 months before team, around when the early bird ends. $7 p.m. Wow. That's a good point. I used to do these at 6 a.m. my time, and I did that because I had a 9-to-5 job. You'll see me doing these a bit later in my day. Usually it'll be about 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so GMT minus 7 or 8. That'll be my goal. I'll have some early Mondays on ACP training, so certifications, but they're all recorded on YouTube. So please remember you can always watch the recordings. But thank you all for joining me. It's been great to see these names again. It's been a while since I've been on a live stream and I've missed it. So I really appreciate you all joining me, and I really hope to see you in the next session on Monday or Thursday or in Discord or online. Just reach out and say hi. I'd appreciate it. Before the early bird ends. All right, Frank, I'll get that set up. All right, folks. So thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. I will sign off for Friday. Please have a great morning, day, evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you again soon.